victory side of this. Really proud of this team and what they've done, how hard they've worked to camp. It's nice to start off the season 1-0 and get that first one out of your belt. There's a lot of guys that are playing for this first time, guys that are nervous. You'll learn a lot about your football team, things that you can communicate on game day that you don't have an opportunity to simulate. I mean, it makes it difficult to communicate on game day. And a lot of those things kind of showed up in this game. But overall, just to review it, I thought special teams-wise, we played one of our better games probably since I've been here. When you look at it complete on the whole. We've really put a lot of time and effort into it. A lot of guys played really well. Congratulations to Maikon Bonani for being the all-time leading scorer in South Florida history. I thought Kloss kicked the ball extremely well, kicking the ball off into the end zone. I thought Justin Brockhouse-Kahn did a really nice job punting it, especially the first two. If we can find that kind of consistency for the course of the year, I think he has a chance to have a great year. But I thought we kicked the ball extremely well. But more important than just that, I thought the return game was really strong. I thought Terrence Mitchell, it's nice to have him back. He makes a difference. But more importantly than that, there were guys on that punt return team, Deontay Welch, who played for us as a receiver, who I thought did a great job on that team. John Legis was on that team. Demetrius Murray was on that team. A lot of guys did a great job of blocking for him and creating some holes. And Terrence has speed and athleticism, was able to make some things happen. Same thing on kickoff return. It was nice to see Kayvon Webster. We kind of put Derek Hopkins back there to see what he was going to do with it, and unfortunately he never got a chance, but I thought Kayvon Webster did a really nice job in the special teams on the kickoff return. He had the one big return to midfield called back, but I thought he really did an excellent job. And guys like Trayvon Griffin, Fidel Montgomery, a lot of guys that are backups that had an opportunity to get some key playing time that I think really did an outstanding job for us on special teams. And I've always said that if you can, the guys that are starring on special teams today are going to be tomorrow's starters. If we can get 200 plays out of guys like Devario Montgomery and Trayvon Griffin and Deontay Welch, when some of those seniors graduate, they're really going to be ready to step into that role. But I was really pleased with special teams. I thought defensively, we really played well with our front seven. Our corners weren't really tested at all. I don't think he had time to test them. I thought our safeties played well, but we need to tackle better in the open space than we did on Saturday night. But it's good to get that first look at it. Defensively with the front seven, I thought Tevin Mims and Luke Sager played an outstanding game. I thought those two were really stand out, played really well. I think our linebackers are fitting much better than we have in years past. We're much more disciplined with some older guys that have been in the system for a while. They're fitting nicely. There's not a lot of places to run. There's not a lot of holes. Those guys are really playing disciplined football. I think Coach Kosh has done a great job with those linebackers, and it showed in the way that the front seven played, with the linebackers fit and the aggressiveness of that defensive front four. And then I talked about the secondary a little bit. Probably the thing offensively, when I look at it, there were some positive things. We threw the deep ball probably better than we ever have. Big emphasis for us. Excuse me, big emphasis for us in the off season is being able to throw the deep ball with some of the speed we have. When you can get guys like Marcus Shaw, Hopkins, Terrence Mitchell, with Sterling Griffin, with Andre Davis, some of those guys that are deep ball threats, we've got to be able to throw the ball well to them. And I thought we did a nice job with the deep balls, and we were pretty consistent on our third down. I thought our numbers were pretty good, but when I looked at it overall, I really wasn't pleased offensively. Some of the things that were frustrations for us as a staff, and for some of the players, the turnovers we've got to eliminate. We finished -2 on the day. You're not going to win a lot of football games finishing -2. We've got to get better with that football and understand just how valuable it is with the emphasis we've made on it. And I just don't think we had the production in the run game that we'd like to have. We did have two guys starting their first game. Max Lang is a redshirt freshman at right tackle, kind of with Q Eatman's injury, and the same thing with Damian Edwards at left tackle, going out there and playing out there. And I think with their speed and athleticism that they utilized on the defensive end, it showed up. We had a lot of penetration in our play action passing game, which we've got to get shored up. We've got to get that corrected. But on the bright side, I thought Austin Ryder, going in there as a center, really did an outstanding job as a center. I thought he played an excellent game for his first start as a center. Dana Sestanor played well at guard. All the reps we can get Mark Popek at left guard is really going to, pay dividends for us. with that. And I thought the wide receivers played well. I thought Sterling Griffin and Deontay Welch and all those guys, Terrence Mitchell, a lot of those guys really played well. So I think there were a lot of positive things in the first game, but there's definitely a lot of improvement as well that we can make. They say you make your most improvement from game 1 to game 2. I certainly hope that's the case. Because we do have a long way to go as far as being the type of football team that we want to be. Looking at Nevada this week, we've got some great challenges, not only on the field with the football team that we're playing, but with the logistics of the long travel, the altitude, all those type of things are things that we need to consider with it. I was talking to a couple of the pro scouts today who have to go to Denver and play, which has got the same height that Nevada is, and they talk about, it makes a huge difference. Normally we go out 3 days early. I don't have that luxury, so we're gonna have some challenges that we're gonna have to overcome with travel and everything else. But on the field, this is a really good football team. They go out and they beat Cal in the home opener. This is only the second time they've beaten Cal at Cal. The last time they beat Cal was 1903. Puts in perspective a little bit about what they just accomplished as a football team. I think Coach Holtz does a fantastic job. You look at him, he's got 227 wins under his belt. He has a lot of experience. He's an excellent football coach, and it shows on their team. They're fundamental, they're sound, they're disciplined, they play well together, and they're doing what they can do with their personnel. They're really highlighting their strengths, and I think they do a great job as a football team. Watching the film, this is going to be a great challenge for us because they were probably just the opposite of what we were a week ago. They went out and they were disciplined. They did all the little things the right way. They protected the football. They played within the system. We just kind of went out and out-athleted a little bit when we went to go play Tennessee Chattanooga. So we're going to have to really shore some things up as a football team as we go into this weekend. This Nevada team, I'm sure is playing with a lot of confidence after going out and winning at Cal. I'm sure they're playing with confidence. They play with a lot of effort, and they play together as a football team. When you look at them, when you sit down and break down the film offensively, it all starts with the quarterback. He's a sophomore, which makes you say, wow. He was 25 of 32 throwing the ball. He was poised, made great decisions, rushed for over 100 yards. He really did a great job. I've really been impressed watching him play. When you look at him, he's just so steady in everything that he does. He's very steady, he's very solid, but I think it starts with him and the decision-making process, and then the offensive line is big and physical, and they come off the ball. They play downhill. They have a running back that rushed for 150 yards last week against Cal. Their system, they make you play option football with their pistol, but they also have a downhill running back who runs extremely hard and very physical football team. So it'll be a totally different look for our defense and a challenge for our defense and those fits I talked about with the front seven. The wide receivers are good. As soon as you start cheating to kind of rob Peter to pay Paul and you start getting them safeties involved, here comes the play action, and they'll replace you in a heartbeat. They do a really good job with their play action game on it, and I think they got a couple tight ends. They're playing more 2 tight end sets than they have in the past. They have a couple tight ends that are big and very great targets for them to do what they're doing with them in their system. When you look at them on defense, probably the word is sound. Very sound in what they do. They do what they do. They're not overly complicated. They're not a huge blitz team. The same thing I said about their offense. They know what they do what they do, and they do it extremely well. They are a quarters-based team. Their secondary is solid. They have a couple new starters back there. Look like they're kind of protecting them, playing a lot of zone in the first game, that are very good football players. Their linebackers are very aggressive. Kind of you can see that they go against each other all the time. Downhill runners, plugging the gap, 230, 240 size linebackers that run downhill. And then I think their defensive front is very sound in what they do. Overall, when you look at this defensive football team, you'd say sound and physical. That's what they are. They do what they do. They don't. Their defensive football team does a great job, but offensively they control the ball so well and score so many points. Their defense just has to be what they are. They're sound what they do, and it makes them very difficult to beat them as a team, which is why they've had the success that they've had. Special teams, they've got a kicker coming back from a year ago. They've got a junior college All-American punter who's left-footed, which creates some concerns for you because the ball, on the right-footed punter, the ball all spins from right to left as it travels. it's hard to duplicate it, spinning from the left to the right for your punt returners. So be a little bit of a challenge with that. And then they've got a great returner. Their starting corner is also their kickoff returner and punt returner. Very good football team, explosive on offense because they do so many different things. Make you play option football as a defense, assignment football, but they're very physical as a football team as well. So will be a great challenge for us. We're looking forward to it. As I told the team today, we've got to treat it just the ultimate goal. It's a new season. It's 1-0. It's a new week. That's how we have to focus it. Yesterday's gone. We can't do anything about that. That one's in the record books. We just have to do what we need to do to get ready to play this football game. And had a very physical practice today. We went after it hard today. I mean, these guys were, if anything, the one positive thing as a staff is we're going to have to pull the reins back on them during the week because they love this game and they're playing it extremely hard. So looking forward to this week. What questions can I answer for anybody?
Is the pistol an offensive deception?
I wouldn't say deception. I would say it's probably with the zone reads and everything that it does. What it does is gives your tailback an opportunity to run a downhill power run game where he's 7 yards deep, can run straight towards the line of scrimmage, and you can give him the ball, and he can hit it with a full steam, a full head of steam coming downhill. You also have the element of this kind of the side saddle, we call it, the side with the back on your side, which is more of a lateral hop zone type of mindset. But you have the same element of that in that you have the same element in that, and then you have the quarterback pulling the ball. The quarterback can pull the ball and still run it. Watched him go 45 yards down the sideline against a very fast Cal football team. When he pulled that ball and took off to the field, outran the entire defense, circled him, and went down the sideline. Nobody could catch him. So it adds an element of option football with it as well as the downhill. And we just don't see a lot of it. So it's a little bit different. And a couple different blocking schemes, and they've got some great wrinkles in it. Coach Holtz does a great job with their offense.
How concerned are you with the turnovers, especially with a physical defense like Nevada has?
Concerned. That's what I talked about. That was probably one of my biggest disappointments coming out of week one with the emphasis we've put on turnovers, knowing how many close football games we were in a year ago and the difference. One play, we've talked about being 4 or 5 plays from where we want to be. Now one turnover is one of those plays, and we've got to be able to eliminate them. And it's not just that we put the ball on the ground or turned it over. It's how many times we had poor ball security. I mean, we're running with the ball, it gets away from our body, we're susceptible to a fumble. It's how many of those that I see, as well as the 2 turnovers that we actually had. Now, you can have 2 turnovers if your defense is going to get 6. But if your defense isn't going to get a turnover, you can't have one. And so we've either got to start creating more of them on defense, or we got to do a much better job offensively of protecting that ball. They do a great job with it. They do a great job, and they are physical. And so hopefully we can make huge strides with that from week 1 to 2, and the players can understand what we're talking about and see what we're talking about. We don't need to lose another football game before we'll start to learn those lessons.